Hello, wonderful people. How are you? Good morning. Actually, it's a good afternoon. But wherever you're listening from, good morning, good afternoon. How are you doing? Konnichiwa, ni hao, jumbo, abare, mbote, bonjour, hola, buongiorno, ciao. Welcome, you guys. Welcome, 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 welcome. I am back from my trip. I'm back from DC. I'm back in my little roadie life. It's good to be back. I always miss. Like I don't know. Do you guys also feel this way? It's like when you travel, you're like, oh, I can't wait to travel to see something new. And then when you come back, and then when you're there, you kind of miss it. You're like, oh, I kind of miss my hometown. Then when you're back, you're like, oh, I was glad I left. So that's how I feel sometimes. But it's good to always be back in Rhode Island. I love my states. I had an amazing experience in DC, and I went to a conference that was hosting foreign Fulbrighters. They're language Fulbrighters. They come from different parts of the world. We had about 400 people from 52 different countries coming to the United States to teach us their languages. So we had people from Turkey, Morocco, Nigeria. We had people from Germany. Oh, they were unpleasant. Oh my God, Jesus, those people were annoying. Oh Lord, they were annoying. But yeah, people from Germany. You have people from Ireland. It was just one of the things that makes America amazing, and taking it from a kid who's multicultural, is the multiculturalism. There's not a place in the world where, for all the shit that we go through, for all the bad stuff that happens here, one thing that you can never take away from America is multiculturalism. It's diversity, and it was just so beautiful. It was just a beautiful event, and one of my favorite events was a cultural fair, and I was going to make an episode titled "The Making of an African," and that episode was supposed to have two parts, and the parts of one part was supposed to talk about the way Africans view themselves and the realistic view of an African. And the other part was going to be the making of an African, how the West made the African, right? And I was going to tackle it from two perspectives because those are my reality. Those are the reality that I live in. I lived in a proud Congolese African household. And after moving to the United States and seeing the propaganda about Africa, I made myself an African. And I wanted to talk about the making of an African as a way, as how it was made politically, and how Africans are reversing that notion, which is also a political thing. And this event actually helped me start like give me even more ideas for this episode, because I got to interact with so many Africans during this conference, and it's so funny because like they take me back home, and it's weird because I've never been to the Congo. I wasn't born in the Congo, like, so for me to be home, it's like for me to be in this space of magic, of different group of people who are united, like who look after each other, who are proud of where they're from. It's yeah. So let's before I get ahead of myself, let me just sort of define, like, let's start from the beginning. So when we moved to the United States, I did not know how Americans view Africans. Like, for me, growing up, I was told I was a princess. I was told we were great, we were rich, we had all the natural resources. We're the richest continent in natural resources. We was told some great history. I was maybe 8 years old when the first African woman became president of a country in Liberia. I learned about the Whitney Mandela. I learned even about the women in my own family. So there was just a legacy of just pride in our culture, in our strength, in our history. And it's funny because I remember when I was a kid, we talked about slavery, and we talked about, because I remember we visited the door of no return. So there's two doors of no return. There's one in Ghana, and there's also one in Benin. I think Gorée, Senegal also has one. So there's a couple around West Africa. And I remember we went there, we visited, and there was this notion of like, this was part of our history, but this is not the final point, right? And even though I was a young kid, I was maybe 6 or 7 years old. I can remember my professor talking about how, like, this is part of our history, but it does not define us, right? Because we have this thing that happened in our continent, even the way we address colonization. And I can make another episode about that and kind of see where Africa has gone wrong with addressing colonization. But even with colonization, there's always a notion of like, they fuck us over, however, we come back up, right? So there's always this notion that the African is a fighter. The African, she never stays down. She always come back. So I never grew up feeling bad for being an African. I never grew up hating that I was an African. I was from pride. And I was worried as a badge of honor. It's like, oh my God, looking at the times that my ancestors have gone through and looking at where we are now, how great we are. Like our music, our art, our intellect. We are the smartest people on the planet. It's like that was what I always carried with me. I come to the United States and I have a conversation. Oh, I'm African. Some people did not believe I was African because I am fair skinned, right? So when I came here, I was a bit lighter than I am now. Depending on who you ask, I'm light skinned or brown, whichever, I don't care. And and I remember just people being like, "Well, you're African? You speak so well. You talk so well. You went to school?" People ask, "Did you live in huts?" And I did not know what a hut was. I always tell the story like I have no idea what a hut was, right? And then they showed me a picture. I'm like, oh, I looked at it and I was like, oh, those are in villages, right? So those are in very remote villages where you'll see a hut. And people are looking at me like, what do you mean? Like, isn't everyone from Africa living in huts? And I'm looking at them like, are you guys stupid? You know? And mind you, this is my reaction as somebody who grew up in a remote place, right? I grew up in a remote refugee camp. It wasn't in the city, but I've been to the city, right? I've had a life. I don't view my childhood as sort of like this backward place. It was, we had roads, we went out, we went we lived in the town of Wida. That's where, so inside Wida, the little towns around Wida, that's where we lived in. And Wida is known for its seas, it's right on the Atlantic. That's where the slave trade also happened. So I was always like, we had a life. Like we went out, we went to the beach, we did stuff. I went to the city. I went to Cotonou to visit my father on vacation. Like, I've seen a road before. I've seen a paved road before. We had cars. There's highways. So it was just like, so getting those comments was like, oh. Then I had to see it on TV, right? And then I had to see how Africa is viewed as like, no water, which is true. There are places in the world that has no water. Guess what? There's also places in America that has no water, as the Amish, or as there's always backward places in America, right? But it felt like the Africa or Africa was defined by poverty, was defined by by being illiterate, was defined by political instability, and was just like everything that was negative was Africa. And I am here being like, what the fuck? Like, this is not true. I can't remember, maybe like in middle school or in high school, they had like this thing about, people, parent, like kids who whose parents had never been to college, and they invited me. I'm like, both of my parents went to college. My dad is a chemist. My mother had her thing in business administration. Like, I come from peace, but it was just like the fact that you would pick, like you would choose me, thinking that because I'm African, my parents never went to college. Like, are you kidding me? Are you like the way education is innate in African identity? True, not everyone gets an education in Africa. Not everyone gets an education in the United States, right? So I can remember facing those two dilemmas and being like, oh no, fuck no. I am going to show you guys the African that I know. I Because you guys have such a misconception about what Africa look like or who Africans are, I am going to show you the Africa of my ancestors, the Africa that I was born into, the Africa that is in me, and that's how I became an African. I knew I was an African since I was a kid, but becoming an African was became a political thing because the making of Africa was a political thing. So in order for me to combat that making, I had to become African. And in my becoming African, I wanted to display the African that people don't know. I used to bring Congolese food to my teachers because I wanted to introduce them to our foods. For my prom, I wore a tradition, like I made a dress with a traditional African fabric. You knew I was an African, not just because of my accent, but because of the way I presented myself. I had yarn, like I did my hair, like I did African threading a lot of times when I was younger to kind of show people like our different styles. Because for me, it was important for me to keep those things because I was so annoyed that whenever people saw me, they looked at me with pity. They looked at me with, and I'm just like, bitch, the person that you look, and it's funny because I was fucking with some people mindset because to them, an African is supposed to be a beggar. You are supposed to be glad you're in this country. And I love this country. This is the country where I'm raised. You have to understand, I came here as a child. From fifth grade all the way to college, I've spent it in the United States. I love my country. I am a proud American. I am a Rhode Island girl through and through. I love this country, of course, right? But in people's mindset is like, because you're an African, you come here to beg. So you should always walk with your head down, with your shoulders slouched. You should always have like this, you know, this inferior mentality. And I'm like, but bitch, we're Africans. Africans, we don't know what humble mean. Congolese, humble is not in our vocabulary. Modesty is not in our blood. We don't even know what the fuck that means. Like, we are the loudest people you will ever meet. We are, like, you will know we're there. So that was a juxtaposition because you're like, wait, how the fuck is this person from Africa? That's supposed to be, but they're walking around like they own this shit. Like, you know what I mean? And I think for both white America and black America, it was just like, what the fuck? I was a what the fuck walking. If what the fuck was a was a face, it was me. They're like, what the fuck is this girl doing? How come? And I think, which also goes with like the differentiation between how African and American interact with each other is, but because for me, I faced prejudice and I faced like how do I say, I faced ugly stuff at the hand of Black America more than I did at the hand of white America, right? And so, like even my name, right? They will butcher my name and they'd be like, oh my God, that's so hard. Like, a white person, if I they'd be like, "Oh, teach me how to say your name," and white people are doing that because they want to be politically correct and shit, because they already like they have that thing. It's like, oh, we're willing to fix a lot of shit that we did, so let us be super nice. But a white person will be kind of like, "Oh, how do you say your name?" And they will say it, and then they will butcher it, and then they will also ask, like until they get it right. But with black people, like with black Americans that I've met, they'd be like, "Oh my god, that is so hard," like and it's just like it's a waste of their time to kind of learn how to say my name. And I'm just like, and you expect me to learn how to say Shaniqua, right? How to write it with the perfect Q, the K silent, and where to put the apostrophe, right? But I digress. But that's been my experience. That's been my personal experience and stuff. And so for me becoming an African, like trying to dismantle that notion of like African are beggars, Africans did not go to school. And I think that's and I remember and I think that's why people are so like, how come how come they say Nigerians are the most educated or the most successful black group in America and everything. And people don't understand that in African countries, although we have the most educated people, we don't have the opportunities. And when somebody comes here with their education and see that they can get somewhere with their education, they are going to work super hard. That's why. That's why immigrants become successful, because they know what it's like to have all these accolades. They know what it's like to have all these degrees and not have the opportunity. So in a place where they find the opportunity, they're going to take every advantage of it because they know how it feels to not have it. So this weekend when I met like these wonderful people from all over around Africa, it was just so cute to see how instantly we connected with each other. Instantly, regardless. Because here's the thing, I always thought North Africans did not identify as Africans. I do not. Well, because of my experience, I've always been like, fuck you, North Africans. Because I've met people and that's how I feel with Cape Verdeans as well. I've met people who be like, oh no, we're like lighter skin, or like our hair is different and everything. Like we're North African, we're like this and blah blah. And I'm just be like, okay, fuck you. Because there's also this thing where they also look down on sub-Saharan Africa because they are more white passing, I guess. And so I was being like, fuck you. And when I was in Europe and listening to like the hardship of how they get really like targeted in France, particularly that I'm thinking about, or in Spain and everything, I used to be like, as a human, I feel bad, but fuck you. But yeah, but in this event, we were just like, oh my God, you're Moroccan. Oh my God, you're this, you're that. And then we just became like, and my God, Jesus Lord, I feel bad for those people because we were so loud. And the Nigerian, oh my God, the Yoruba people, oh my God, my God, my God, my God, and my Savior, Jesus is Lord. They brought their drums, they were playing, they made everybody dance except for the Germans because these people were just like, oh my God, like, how are you gonna go to a cultural fair and complain that it's too loud? Like, oh, I swear to God, I can't, I cannot. As somebody who's very like always outgoing with different people and everything, Germans are my least favorites. German culture doesn't appeal to me at all, at all. Germans are my least favorites. Like every time I've seen these people at this type of events, they just, and I get it, it's a cultural thing, and I should be more, understanding of their standoffish, coldish culture. I get it, but those are the people I don't fuck with at all. I don't. I cannot. They just like the most like everybody, even people who were not, familiar with different communities. Like I went to the South Korean table. I was having fun. Like you bring your like how you gonna come walking in mellow saying, "Oh, this is a great event," but your face is showing that you are in pain. Like hell, like we had people from Ireland, they were having fun. We had like, and it was like, I don't know, they were just like, "Ugh, I want to go back. Oh God, I can't stand people like that. I really can't. So of all the countries that I've been to, Germany has been my least favorites because I just feel like as a culture, my culture and their culture will never mix. It will never mix ever. So I do have some cool German friends. Like I do have some cool German acquaintances. They are mostly yeah. So one of the girls I met in French, she's biracial. The other one was also like he was Arabic and German, and yeah. So those people I fuck with, but like the no offense, but the white Germans, I just cannot like their standoffishness, the way they think, the way they do stuff, it just doesn't match. And like so, yeah, whatever. But yeah, and it was just so back to the Africans. It was just so funny because we were just like we were representing Africa, and they were so proud of their heritage. They were so proud to display their heritage, which is something people don't understand about Africans. Africans are the proudest people you'll ever meet in your life. We are not beggars. We are we are the funniest, craziest, smartest, annoyingest, dumbest, cutest, stupidest people you'll ever meet in your life. Like being an African is a vibe. It's a vibe that cannot be recreated. Either you have it or you don't. Either you have it or you don't. And people ask me all the time, like, oh, how do you feel about, like people being into Afrobeat, into this? And my answer is like, I'm glad you have realized, I'm glad you have realized that we are the shit because we've been the shit before we didn't need you to realize that we are the shit and all that. But I'm glad. However, I'm always skeptical because when it comes to trends, I don't think my lived experience should be a trend. My lived experience should not be a trend because I was African before you even knew how cool Africa was. I was a cool African before you even thought Africa would ever be cool. And for me, with trends, I was like, let me see 30 years from now and see how I feel about this trend stuff. Is it going to be just a moment or is it going to last a long time? If it's going to be a moment, then fuck y'all, you were never real in the first place and you were just a cloud chaser. Let's just be real, you're just a cloud chaser. And I don't mess with people who move as the wind move. When the wind blows in the north, they'll go north. The blows in the south, they go. So I just never been into that. But in 30 years, if it's still a staple and people are still having this love for Africa the way that they are right now, because I feel like some people are just faking it. Like I've had people who were like, oh yes, I don't like this, I don't like that, blah 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 blah, and everything. And now, and then I see them be like, oh my god, Afrobeat, oh my god, that's the shit, and I'm like, fuck you, fuck, like it's like if I know you, I know the way you think, I know the stuff that you have said to me in private, and then I see you post things that are contradictory to who you are. Not to say that people don't evolve, but I don't think they evolve that quick. I don't think they change their mind about like major issues that quick. So when I see people be like, "Oh my God, it's like Black Lives Matter," I'm like, "Fuck, shut the hell up, just shut up, just shut up." But yeah, so yeah, guys, I had a wonderful time. It was so fun to just have a piece of home in my daily life because oh my God, it was just amazing. Like we have people from Tanzania. I am Congo. Like my mother is Congolese Swahili. They speak, so it was funny to just kind of like practice my Swahili with them. And some people actually host hosted in university in my states, so we're gonna make plans to meet up to have a couple of drinks and everything and just have a bomb and have an amazing African bougie time. Thank you guys, I'll talk to you guys later. It's Thanksgiving week, but my family don't really celebrate Thanksgiving, so I'll probably be just recording episodes. And you guys, we are almost at 100. You guys are amazing. And it's funny because when I started, although I started this podcast in June, I have not been posting regularly. And I only started being consistent like in mid October and November. So to just see how fast we reach the 100 mark is amazing. You guys are awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I am hoping to get at least 250 by the end of the year. We have a month. We can do it. Love y'all. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Ciao. Arrivederci. Bye.